Hey guys, hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to be testing out some car tech that I found on TikTok, going from pretty inexpensive to somewhat expensive. Starting off with this heads-up display that I got for 20 bucks. So this heads-up display I got from Amazon, and it only cost me 20 bucks. Retails for like 30, but it did give me the option for a 50% off coupon, so I clicked that, and then it gave me free shipping, and got delivered to my house for 20 bucks, which, if it works as intended, will probably be the best 20 bucks I've spent this year. Now, a heads-up display is just a little screen that displays vehicle information on your windshield via reflection, usually like a tach or a speedometer, and you can kind of think of it similar to when you put your phone near a window and you can actually see the reflection of the phone in the window. It is a similar concept, and I specifically got this one for the digital speedometer. Thing is, my Fusion is a 2014 model, which in 2014, digital speedometers were not an option. I believe they added them in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. It is pretty ironic because as of now, even my Tahoe has a digital speedometer being a 96. Granted, it is aftermarket through the gauge cluster, but point still stands. I specifically like how it says easy to install. So with this, you get what is the plug. This connects to your OBD2 port, which is just that little port underneath your dash that mechanics use to diagnose issues on your vehicle. Here is the unit right here, and like that. I got this one because I really like the layout of it. It's very minimal design, very simple. You can see it just has the speed right here. You have this little mat that looks like it's just to secure it in position. We're not going to go for a full-on professional install in this video just because I want to see if it works first. If it does, we absolutely will, because it'll be a nice upgrade. We have an instruction manual, which honestly, nowadays when you buy things online, they don't come with instruction manuals anymore, and it just definitely helps to have just some perspective on it. Then we have this little screen to help out, which I'm assuming is to make it just a little bit more reflective. And the crack, unfortunately, did get a little bit longer on the windshield. Temperature changes affected that a lot. We're still gonna get it fixed, just ignore it for the sake of this video. Please and thank you. There is a lot going on with the car right now, but we're just gonna focus on this heads-up display. And one thing that the review said to do with this is to set it up before you put it in position. Makes the install a lot easier, so let's do that. Kilometers per hour. So I'm just gonna keep it right here in the center so it's a little bit easier to see. I was able to get it all set up with some help from Yvette programming it. She's usually a lot smarter than me. And so here we have it reading miles per hour as opposed to kilometers per hour. She was also able to calibrate it perfectly. And you also notice that there's this outer white ring section. That's actually the tach. So this is definitely a really clean way to get all the added information in a vehicle that didn't have it initially. So I wasn't really expecting that, but it works. For 20 bucks, it's a really good deal, and of course, the link is going to be in the description box down below, but I'll take that one as a win. Next up, we have this independent CarPlay unit from CarSmartBox, and this has CarPlay, but it also has a dash cam, which is pretty cool. This thing's right in the middle at about 150 bucks, but for what it is a pretty cool concept. It does come with an instruction manual as well, so props for that. I believe this is the unit right here. It's honestly pretty sleek. I'd say it's pretty similar to the unit that I have in the Tahoe right now. Only difference being that, as you can see right there, has a dash cam right on the back. It's pretty seamless design as well. I like that. Got wires to the cigarette lighter, which is going to be the most universal approach for this thing. Aux cords. And you can see right here, this is another camera. So this is going to be the rear dash cam. So you do have a front and a rear in this kit, which having both is definitely really nice. Okay, so some of the setup on this thing just right off the bat, you can connect to CarPlay pretty easily. It is easy to connect through Bluetooth, and it is wireless CarPlay, which is a big plus. As you can see here, this is the home screen, and on the right section over here, it's the camera in the back. And you can see it has a little bit of a distortion to it, but I believe that's just because it's kind of condensed right here. But if you tap on it, you can see it's a lot more oriented properly. Does have a little bit of that distortion, but it's nothing super significant. This is the other thing. It does make that sound effect basically every time you use it. And you want to make sure to connect to Bluetooth audio so it connects to your car. This thing does also have a built-in speaker, so if you can't for whatever reason connect to your car, this will play some audio. Not the highest quality speaker, granted, it's not really the purpose of it, but it does have that option. And if you go to CarPlay, so if we go to Spotify, you can see it's actually pretty responsive, which for wireless CarPlay is pretty impressive because usually there's like a little bit of a delay. This one is probably the quickest responding one I've seen in a while. So definitely props on that. Now, for whatever reason you're thinking that it's not the clearest display, that is just because I left this on the screen. And just with that, it is getting a lot clearer. I think it's pretty cool. Now, some other stuff that I couldn't really showcase super easily in the car because it's just me here, is that this is actually subtly adjustable. So this is on a little bit of a swivel, so you can move it around just a little bit. And then the camera is actually adjustable as well. You can actually raise it up and then you can move it around a little bit as well, which definitely helps out because this is something that is intended to be placed on the center of your dash, and you don't really want to lose too much visibility, so you're probably going to put it a little bit lower. So being able to raise this up higher is going to help out a bunch. It is powered by USB-C, and then the other thing is to mount it. It's basically just some double-sided tape here at the bottom. Sticking them on is a lot easier than taking apart your dash. For my 2 cents on this unit, I do like it. I think it's a good deal, especially for 150 bucks. You get the modern feel of CarPlay, plus some reliability / practicality with the dash cam. This is gonna obstruct your view at least a little bit depending on the vehicle, and the vehicles that I have, the dash doesn't really flow the best with putting something on top of it. That's gonna be obstructing your view, but that's not gonna be a universal situation. Your vehicle might be entirely different, and even nowadays they're making vehicles with cutouts for the head unit that actually pop up into the view. So really just gonna be more case-by-case scenario. So I like the unit, just my vehicles aren't necessarily the best fit for it. And lastly, we have a car refrigerator from Bodega. So this thing retails for about $350, so it is on the upper end in just raw numbers, but compared to the other coolers and whatnot on the market, it's about the running price. So right off the bat, love this blue colorway. It's very reminiscent of the Tahoe's blue interior, which is probably where this thing's gonna be living when we go road trip. So though it does say cooler on there, that's more just kind of like the umbrella term for it, because the easier way to understand what it is to kind of look at it as a refrigerator in the format of a cooler, because as you can see right here, you actually have this little display and you have these 2 sections right here. So when you open it up, this square one is going to be this one right here on the left, and then this one that has a little angle in it is going to be this one right here. That's because one section is going to be the refrigerator section and the other section is going to be the freezer section. This thing can get down to -4 degrees, so basically whatever you can throw at it is going to be really nice and taken care of. Now with that, as you can see right here, it does connect to your phone, and then on the sides you do have these handles to make it easy to lift, and this one has a double, so basically just lifting it like this, you have the same length as that one. And then if you do this side, there are wheels right there. You can pick it up and roll it around really easily. Definitely really cool. Now as for power, we have this half right here with this brick, and then we have these 2. One of these goes to your cigarette lighter, and the other one actually goes to a wall outlet. And we also have instruction manuals for this. Looks like that plugs into down there, but we also have this little USB port right here. It's plugged in now. I don't know if you caught that audio, but it did just kick on. It's worth noting this isn't actually flickering, it's just with the cameras picking it up. Though why this one's different than this one, I don't really know. But my guess is that because it's already lowered, this one is meant to be the freezer aspect. You do have a little light right here. We're gonna give it a second to get cold, and then we're gonna test it out. So we all obviously know how coolers work. The leg up that this one has though is that this one, you don't need to be constantly refilling it with ice to keep everything cold. And with that, you do get more space because, you know, there's no ice to take up that space. But rather than use it like that, let's try using it like a refrigerator and freezer. So we're gonna set this to 37, and this one I'm good at -4. So those are the goals for what it's going for. It's gonna give us the temperature as we get to it, and whenever it gets to those temperatures, we're gonna test out a few different drinks. So as of right now, I'm currently working on the headliner for the car, and it is a very in-depth job. It's been a lot of late nights, and basically to keep myself going, I've been getting some energy drinks. And for today, we have this lineup that we're gonna be testing out in the new cooler. So we have the new pear cinnamon flavored Red Bulls. If you guys are longtime subscribers, you know that my favorite drink ever, aside from Dr. Pepper, is the pear flavored Red Bull. And that they discontinued, which made me very sad. This is the pear cinnamon, so I imagine it's gonna be a little bit different, but it'll probably still have that pear taste. But nonetheless, if this thing can keep my Red Bulls cold, then I am happy. As a little bit of a different take on possible things to keep cold, we do have a drink from Sonic. This is the Dragon Fruit Recharger, and it does still have some ice in it, so we're gonna see if that can hold the ice until later on. And then lastly, we have a couple bottles of water. This is gonna be the most obvious comparison for what we're gonna get. We're gonna put one in the fridge, one in the freezer, and see if it can actually freeze one and just keep the other cold without freezing, you know, both of them. And the Red Bull is probably gonna be the one I'm gonna drink first, just because you're not gonna tell really what's going on with it anyway. And yes, this one did end up falling out of the car right as soon as I stepped out. It does have a similar feel, but it is not the same thing. The other one was green bottle, it said crisp pear, and that one was 0 sugar, I believe, and this one does have sugar, so that might actually be one of the factors. So this is the Red Bull that I'm drinking now. These are the control to just keep these cold. We're gonna go for not having the ice melt too much, and then for over here, we're going for freezing this one entirely. This is gonna be -4. It's already at 36, so we're getting there. It was at 60 something when we first opened it up. Just for fun, we're gonna throw in these 2 Gatorades. It is worth noting, this one already reached temperature. That was about 10 minutes. This one's at 22. It's getting there, but -4 is a pretty tall order.
A few moments later.
So I'm pretty close to being done with the headliner. Granted, I am still gonna need to install it, which is gonna take a good bit more time, so we're gonna be up for a little bit more. As for energy, I'm about 3/4 of the way done with this Red Bull. I would like to combine it with the Sonic drink, so let's go ahead and check in on how the drinks are doing. So when we lift it up, we can see, here's the Sonic drink. Let's check how the ice is doing. It's looking about the same, which is good. Now as for the water, we are almost frozen. We're getting there. I don't know if you can see that. Some parts actually are frozen. So that's probably gonna delay the process, but I do want to at least show you guys. Here's the differences between the 2 waters. This one is in the freezer, this one in the refrigerator section, and really, really cool.
3:28 a.m.
All right, guys, we got the headliner in the car. It's looking really, really good. We just have to cut off a few ends. But with that, let's go ahead and check in on the drinks. See how they're doing. So yeah, this bad boy is frozen solid, as is the Gatorade. And this water over here is perfectly drinkable. So you can see it actually works really well. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed by that. As far as time frame goes, I believe it took maybe about 2 hours for it to get frozen from the start. Honestly, it's pretty impressive, especially considering this is the larger section. The last thing I want to test out is, will this thing keep things cold after the fact? I disconnected it yesterday, 24 hours ago, so let's go ahead and check in on the drinks now. And here are our drinks. So this one was set at the fridge temperature. I think it was 37 degrees. It's still pretty cold, not necessarily like freezing cold or anything, but you could definitely drink that and feel good about that. Over here in the freezer section, I don't know if you can hear that, but there is a little bit of ice in there still. It's still really, really cold. And the water has some ice in there as well. So this held up really, really well. Theoretically speaking, if you have no power or whatever, you just want to load this down with some ice, should work. So I think the cooler is pretty sweet. Definitely gets a thumbs up for me. I do see a lot of upside with it, because though you do need to keep it connected to be actively cooling, I don't see myself using it in a lot of scenarios where it needs to be actively cooled. I'm probably going to be using it much more destination based, so where it's plugged in on the way and it's cooling as I get there. Then whenever I get to wherever it is it may be, disconnect it, and from there it'll keep things cool for a while. So win-win. Then of course, if you're a truck driver or if you live on the road, it's pretty easy to get because you can basically always have it be plugged in. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one.